Hello, in this video I will show you how to create new Azure Search service and how to connect it to SQL Server. SQL Server has to live inside Azure, so we can choose between three options: SQL databases, SQL managed instances, or SQL virtual machines. Since my data is on-premise and I want to migrate to Azure, or if you have scenario when you don't want to migrate it, but you want to make one-way replication from your on-premise database to SQL, that is also possible. You can choose this option. And I already have created virtual machine, SQL virtual machine, and you can check the video on the channel to see how to create it. So first step is to create Azure Search service, and you can go ahead and click create here. Once there, you can choose your resource group and choose your service name, which actually has to be unique. So like this one, by default it is standard pricing tier chosen, but it costs $250, so I will choose free. Actually, I will choose basic because free is already created and I only can have one free tier for Azure AI Search service. So I'll choose basic and I can go ahead and click next to scale. I can have two search units, two replicas, and have 99.9% of availability for read, or if I choose three replicas, I can have 99.9% of availability even for write operations, but I will choose one because this is for testing purposes. Go ahead and click next, choose public connectivity and go ahead and click create. That will create search service and we'll wait to be finished. And after a few seconds, my search service is created and I can go ahead and click import data. And we can see that actually data source for this index can be Azure SQL database, SQL Server on Azure virtual machines, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Blob Storage. In our case, we want to use SQL Server on Azure virtual machine, and I have to make data source name, for example, data source VM1, and it seems that names must be lowercase, so let's choose that. Let's call it like this, and we have to make connection string. Connection string is in this format, so we'll just copy paste it and we'll change user name, password, and also SQL Server. So let's go ahead and change server name first. Go ahead to virtual machine, SQL virtual machine, to find the server name. So to do that, we can actually go to virtual machine that manage this SQL virtual machine. So we can find it by going to virtual machines, and it is this one, and we can see that we have public IP address here and DNS name is not configured. So let's click here and configure DNS name. So for example, virtual machine like this, and let's click save, and we will see if we go ahead and click on overview again that now we have DNS name. So let's copy it, put it here for the server name. For the database name, we will need to connect to our database and create some sample database that we want to connect to. So this is my machine, so let's connect to it. Now go ahead and click new database, and let's call the database something like test database. Later we will just create some test table, but this should be enough for now. So let's choose here for the database test database and type user ID, not this, but the user ID and the password you used when you were creating virtual machine. So by default, connection for your Azure SQL database is the same as for virtual machine itself, but if you have chosen differently, you can type it here. I will type my password, and what is left, it is to change it here. I will do it off screen. So if you go ahead and click test connection, you will get SSL error. Bad request, a connection was successfully established with the server, but then an error occurred during the login process. Usually this can be easily fixed if you put trust server connection to true inside your connection string, but in our case Azure Search service requires that there is a certificate on the server, so we will have to follow this link to see how to install trusted server certificate on the server and how to make your SQL server to use that certificate. We will follow this procedure that is written on this Microsoft's page. I found it that is written badly. It is not written in detail, so we'll try to fix it in this video. So they say that first step is to obtain a certificate from the certificate authority provider or the fully qualified domain name of the SQL Server instance on the virtual machine, and then second step is install the certificate on the virtual machine. So for the certificate authority provider, we will use Let's Encrypt. It offers free SSL certificates, and how it works, that actually you have to download some kind of the client on your computer and actually on your server and run it from there. So you can choose Acme client implementations, and there are a bunch of them, and I used for the Windows, this is called Win Acme. So I will try to connect to the server and install it, install this on server. Let's actually install, download this Win Acme client from the personal computer, since downloading on the server will not be possible by default unless you download some other browser or change your security settings. So let's go ahead and download it here and then copy paste it to a machine I'm already logged in. If you are not, you can go ahead and click to virtual machine. So go ahead and inside Azure portal you can choose your virtual machine, and you can go ahead, click connect and download RDP file. Already have it downloaded. Just type your password, you will be logged in, and I already have downloaded Win Acme client here. We'll just copy and we'll paste it somewhere inside my server. So for example, we'll go ahead and go to downloads folder and paste it here, and I will wait to be finished. Once download is finished, we can unzip this file, go ahead and click on this file, open it as administrator, and this will lead us through the process of creating a certificate. By default, it will ask us to have our domain DNS name, so copy this to clipboard. But at first we will see an error. For example, if you want to create it from default settings, it will try to see IIS because these certificates are usually used for the web servers. So it asks us how shall we determine the domain included in the certificate. So let's choose manual input and type this virtual machine DNS name and click 3, and we'll get an error because it tries to connect to this on port 80. So if we go ahead and try to connect by ourselves, we will see it doesn't connect, and I found it that it is best way. Maybe there are some other ways, but I enabled IIS here inside a local server. So we'll try to find settings for that. So we can go here to add roles and features and click next and next again, and now try to find web server IIS and add that feature. Click next, and regarding additional features, I think default one should be enough. So let's go ahead and click next here, click next again, and click next again and install. This will install IIS. So let's wait that to be finished. So if you try to find IIS now, you will see that is successfully installed. So we have Windows web server, but actually what we can see that this URL actually times out, and most likely this is related to some network security group settings that is related to my virtual machine. So we'll try to find actually network security group that is related to this virtual machine. So go ahead and click here inside network settings, and now find this network security group and click to create new port rule. So let's add one for the port 80. So let's type for the destination port 80, and this should be enough. Click add, and now we can go ahead and do the same for the port 443 SSL port. So by the way, this now works. So but there is no certificate, of course, but we can just add 443 here and add it. And let's go ahead on the server once again and click no. We will try it from the beginning. So let's create certificate. So it doesn't find IIS again, so let's just restart this client again. So now once I restarted this client, now it finds IIS. We'll just click this default setting. It says that no websites with host bindings have been configured inside the IIS. So let's go to IIS and add a binding. So let's go ahead and click binding for this. Let's add this DNS record, I mean DNS name. Go to server and click close and choose N again. And now it found default website, click one, and you can choose to pick all bindings, click yes, this is correct one, and it now tries to download certificate. Let's wait a few seconds, and after just a few seconds we can see that certificate is downloaded. So let's go ahead and now type HTTPS in front of it, and we can see that this certificate is actually working, so connection is secure. So what we can do now is inside your virtual machine find search for certificates and click on manage computer certificates, and it is installed here inside web hosting, and here it is. But let's go ahead and move it to personal folder, since this personal folder has this manage private key settings, and once they are here they have not that settings. So let's just copy it here, move it there, and now click to manage private keys, and we can see that there are no option, and there is no SQL Server user that can manage and use this certificate. So we will have to add this permission. But before doing that, we will have to change some security settings inside registry. So if you go ahead once again on this website that is mentioned here inside error page, we can see that we have to go and change some settings inside this registry key. So let's find it. So let's type registry editor and let's try to find this exact key. I found the registry key. Keep in mind that this exact path depends on the SQL Server you have installed. So in my case, it is 15, not 13. But anyway, here inside certificate, you have to copy and paste certificate thumbprint. So click here, properties, and just double click it and go ahead and click details and copy this one. So safest way is to just copy it here, copy it once again, and go ahead and double click it and save it. And now certificate is here inside registry. And if we go ahead and now try to find SQL Server Configuration Manager and try to restart this service, it will fail because there is another step we will have to do. So if we try to restart it, we will get at some point an error. So what we'll have to do is to basically add a permission so that SQL Server agent can read that certificate. So you can see that restarting SQL Server failed. So go ahead and once again go to certificate manager and go ahead and find it again. And once you find it, click on manage private keys and click add. And here we have to add SQL Server agent name. So let's go and click on this SQL Server. We can see that account name is this. So let's copy this, go to certificate and choose manage private keys. Click here this is not needed. I added previously, but it didn't work. But what it should work is actually adding this, and you can click OK, choose this one, OK, and now let's try to restart SQL service, and this time it should work, and here it is, it works. So let's go ahead and now try to connect to this service finally. So let's click test connection, and it says login failed because I think this changed in the meantime. So let's type the correct username. I have an error, but I think that my database name is wrong, so it's test database, and here it is database test dash. So let's remove this and try to connect. Let's type again correctly this name, and we have no tables or views were found, but this is just because we don't have those any table, but we can just quickly go ahead and add some table. So let's click table, so let's click new query and type some basic query that creates some table, and we can see that table is now here inside test database. And let's finally go ahead here and click test connection, and here we can choose our table, and connection is successfully established. We can now go ahead and add cognitive skills, customer target index and stuff like that, but most importantly, we successfully connected to Azure virtual machine server, SQL Server, Azure virtual machine. We can choose here to make these fields retrievable, filterable, or fetchable, but eventually we can successfully create an indexer. And that's it for this video. Thank you.